I don't know, guys. I don't know. I hate to be a Debbie Downer. I'm not going to be. We're going to start this Friday off right. Much love to you all. Thank you so much for clicking play. Welcome. We're going to get this party started as a couple people join us. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. A lot of news has happened in the last couple of days. Yeah, a lot of things have happened in the last couple of days. Whew, Jesus. But we're going to get through it as a family. Now, obviously, I don't know if y'all know this already, but obviously y'all know. I'm certain y'all know. A lot of people have been having fun with this whole thing. What's going on, Shay Brown? How you doing? And everybody on Twitch. Much love to Twitch, man. Much love to everyone on Twitch. I appreciate you all. Yesterday, I didn't point you all out when I was doing my goodbyes, when I was telling everybody later, when I was bidding you adieu, throwing up the do sign before I got up out of here yesterday. I did not thank my Twitch family for pulling up. And best auntie ever, I did not see your message until after I was completely done. So I apologize for that. Jared, what's going on, my brother? Happy Friday, everyone. Angel, what's going on, Angel? How are you? Monique, Omar, how y'all doing? We got a lot to talk about today. And I'm gonna try to do it within the confines of my hour and a half before my training starts, before the coaching call starts. If you have not reached out to me yet via email for coaching, here's my information right below, guys. All right. Something we're doing is not only are we showing people how to do YouTube, how to start the YouTube channel, how to continue their growth, but we're giving them strategies on how to grow their channel, because most of the people who work with me reach monetization in the first 30 days of doing YouTube. And I'm talking about from 0 subscribers to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. I am giving people a path. I'm showing people a path that makes it much easier. It's fun and it's fulfilling at the same time. And you can market your brand and your business and whatever you're working on while growing your YouTube channel and getting to know this thing. Okay, we're not here to talk about my YouTube coaching group, although I will talk about it a couple more times later on, because I am looking for new clients. But please, as y'all pull up, y'all already know, man, the only price of admission for my live streams is for you to hit the like button. And I'm gonna let you know, you will see some things on today's broadcast that you will not like. You will not like. I went over to the other side and I pulled up some comedy from a comedian that you probably also don't listen to, but you already know they're trying to put gun charges on Trump. I don't know if y'all know that already. They're trying to put gun charges on him. They're trying to take his gun license away from him because he's a convicted felon, right? And they're also trying to ban him from other countries, being that he's a convicted felon, trying to make it difficult for him to do his job if he were to become the president. So they're putting that into people's mind. That's psychology right there. They want to train people's mind to let us know, to try to get us to think all the time that if he does become president, how can he be an effective president if he can't travel to these countries that are banning him because he has a record? But this is something that we do to ourselves. We don't want to position ourselves to be a superpower anymore. What we want to do is take down our political opponents and make ourselves look weaker in the eyes of all of these other countries. And that's what's happening. We're making ourselves look weaker in the eyes of all of these other countries, and that's not conducive to a superpower. That's not conducive to a powerful USA, a powerful country. So that's the only reason why I'm here. I'm in the middle of this. I'm not I'm not left leaning anymore. I'm gonna let you know that right now, and I'm not a full out conservative either. Just want y'all to know that, because all my life I've been voting blue no matter who. I understand liberals a lot more than I understand conservatism, which I'm learning right now. But bruh, this thing has been tough on Trump. I want y'all to see something right quick. And I know y'all not going to like it. Don't hit the thumbs down, hit the thumbs up. I'm just showing y'all this because I know that y'all did not tune into this and y'all need to see what's being said on the other side. That's the reason why I'm showing y'all this. Y'all need to see what's being said on the other side. Let's play a little bit of this.
Host of the show, thank you for joining us on big-time basketball night in America. And a special welcome to those of you who are still conscious after game one of the NBA Finals, the Boston Celtics versus the Dallas Mavericks. You know, one of the fun things about working at ABC is because we have the finals on our network, I already know who wins. I get an advanced screener, but don't worry, no spoiler alerts. And I hope the Mavericks are watching tonight because we have something of an expert when it comes to beating the Celtics in the finals. The great and powerful Magic Johnson is here with us tonight. That's not the only great and powerful person. Guillermo, welcome back. You've been gone for the last couple of nights.
Yes, Jimmy.
And I haven't been watching this lately. I'm being honest with you. I have not been watching this. I came across this while searching for some videos to discuss with you all. And I noticed something. He's talking about Trump and everything that's going on. But of course, being that he's on the left and most of Hollywood is on the left, they like to make fun of Trump and anytime a conservative is going down, so to speak. So I wanted to just show y'all this part right here. Hold on one second. It's coming up. It's coming up. It's coming up. Don't hit the thumbs down button. Hit the thumbs up button. We about to get it. We about to get to it.
Guillermo went to Boston for Media Day. You got interviews with all the stars, right?
That's right, Jimmy.
And you got interviewed a lot yourself, too.
Yes, I did, yes.
Is it hard to conduct interviews when you're there to conduct interviews when people are trying to interview you?
It's very hard, Jimmy.
Oh, my God. You go through, you know
so
what?
many, yeah.
You go through so much, and I'm so proud of you.
It's a lot of work.
Guillermo is a Lakers fan, which makes this a bit sacrilegious, but we dressed him up as...
Hey, give me your best comment about Jimmy Kimmel in the comments. Tell me what you really think about him. How do you, in two words, in 2 words, what do you think about him? And it's going to pop up on the screen when you do it.
The Celtics mascot, Drunky the Leprechaun, to do the interviews, which made for more than a little bit of confusion when Guillermo stopped by for a quick chat with Jonah Javad from our ABC affiliate WFAA in Dallas.
So I am here with the Boston Celtics mascot, Lucky the Leprechaun.
Guillermo of the beaches in Normandy today to also he, to his credit, did muster up something respectful. This morning, he wrote, "Today we honor the immortal heroes who landed at Normandy 80 years ago. The men of D-Day will live forever in history as among the bravest, noblest, and greatest Americans ever to walk the earth. They shed their blood, and thousands gave their lives in defense of American freedom. They are in our hearts today and for all time," which I agree with and would even be somewhat moved by had he not 12 hours earlier posted, "What I've gone through, no one has ever gone through. I have been under siege." And wasn't Steven Seagal fantastic in that movie? I mean, Trump's in California tonight and all this weekend with a collection basket. He's got a fundraiser.
All right, so Jimmy Kimmel, so far. This is what we got for you, brother. This is what we got for you. Carvola calls you a paid actor. Breezy calls you a useful idiot. CO says Jimmy is a DNC lapdog. I don't even know what a lapdog is, but I don't want to be anybody's lapdog. Lord 3 said, "You never been funny." Stitch Jones says, "You are a paid shill." Oh my gracious, I don't know what a shill is, but that don't sound right at all. Montauk Pirate called you a Nazi. Dave says you're forcefully fake. Let me see. Donovan Smith says that you are a traitor. Kadra Deuce says that you are a racist idiot. Keep them coming, guys. Listen, I have a point. It's a means behind my madness. I just want y'all to know that because there's a lot going on. Is a huge setup to take down one guy, and unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I gotta say it. It seemed to be working because there are actually Republicans out there who are saying, you know what, maybe with all this new information that's coming out about him, I might not vote for him. Which is idiotic because they understand how this whole thing was put together. They get it, right? They understand that the trial should have never been a trial in the first place. They get that part. But a lot of people are just going off of the final say from the jury that was completely set up, and they're just making their decision off of that. So back to how the LFR family. This is how the LFR family think of Jimmy Kimmel right here. He's a confused man. That was actually pretty nice. That was nice, especially compared to a lot of the other ones we got. You have no credibility. That's what Jay Tyrus says about you. You are a loyal demobot. Shout out to Crown Dion, one of our artists who is also a part of the LFR family coaching group as well. Don called you a paid puppet. Okay. Irish Poppy says you are played out. Jeff Price says you are the man's club. I don't what does that mean? What is that? You call him a whole man's club? Okay. Alexander Vasilinos. That's why I could never be one of those graduation announcers. Like when you hand me the ticket and show me your name, and I got to read your name before you walk across stage. I will get cussed out by your families and your friends because I will mess up your names. I know y'all probably don't even know this name. Alexander Vasilinovsky. He called you a paid prostitute. All right. Carolyn Mitchell called you a waste of a human. Miss Thang. What's going on, Miss Thang? Miss Thang called Jimmy Kimmel a twat waffle. This is hilarious. Oh my gracious. This is hilarious. Hold on. Bogomil, I'm not going to try your other names. Sorry. A media reptilian is what you are. Billy Bly called you a booty kisser. That's what he called you. And so forth and so on. A hypocrite, a demo Marxist, by Ted. Jerome kept it pretty simple with just by simply calling you a dumbass. Shout out to everyone on Twitch. Shout out to everyone on YouTube. Much love to you all. I appreciate you pulling up. Bujo Trice called Jimmy Kimmel just a sad man. Just a sad man. A sad man comedian. And a window liquor by Connie Shelton. And so forth and so on. All right, guys, what's going on, Diane Hall? I always got to point you out. She calls you a servant of Satan, Jimmy. All right, so no more Jimmy, man. We about to go ahead and check out the information that, the video that y'all pulled up to see. But I wanted to show y'all this because for some strange reason, people want to piss on the grave of Trump as if he's already been taken up out of here. They want to act like he's already been killed and buried and moved out the way, but that's not the case because he has a whole slew of supporters out there who are not going to walk away and just let this happen silently. They're not just going to let this happen, bro, at all. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the conversation today because this joint right here is another banger. All right, y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know in the comments. We got our man Benny. We got our man Benny from the Benny Show. He's going to be on the on the Pierce Morgan panel, along with a few other people. And this joint right here is going to get crazy. Let me move this out the way. All right, and also Dave Packman is going to be on here as well. So I can't wait to see what happens with this. All right, because and I don't think Dave Packman is going to be that talkative on this panel. He usually is very talkative on his own show, and I've seen him on Valuetainment as well. He seemed to be a very intelligent guy. He just have a different ideology of a lot of you who are here today, but we don't care about that. We are here to be objective listeners. We're not just going to close our ears because of something being said that we don't like, but we are going to have a tough conversation. And I do want to know where y'all stand with Trump. I'm looking at this poll that I asked the question to you guys. I said, with the gun license revoked, with the country, different countries banning Trump, does Trump still have a chance at winning? 80% of you said, I am praying that he does. 20% of you said, the left is fighting dirty. And at this point, I simply don't know. And that right there is the most honest that we can possibly get, guys. It's the most honest that we can possibly get. Before we jump into this, guys, we're about to go and get it popping. Make sure that you reach out to me in this email right here that's going across the screen. Van.hall at LFRFamily.com for YouTube guidance, YouTube coaching. I am not an expert. I am not a guru, but something that I do know is how to navigate these YouTube streets. So if you need some help with that, reach out to me. And if you know somebody who's thinking about starting a YouTube career, please let them know how to contact me. Let's go and get into it. Nothing else is going to be said but whatever is pertaining to this video. And thanks again, guys, for pulling up. What's going on, Lisa Marie?
Versions of Benny Johnson, by the way.
Just a personal recommendation from your boy Benny. Go to a country that's a Stalinist country, because that's clearly the tradition that you're from. You should go to Cuba. You should see what life's like there. North Korea would be fun.
Hey, thank you so much for the super chat. Didn't do nothing. I like that name. Didn't do nothing. Thank you so much for the super chat. Her super chat reads, Jill Biden is gross and guilty of elder abuse. Oh, man. Do y'all think they still be doing the nasty? Don't tell the truth. Let me know in the comments if you think Jill and Joe still be doing the nasty. And don't try to leave simply because you think that that's a nasty question. We're all adults here. I don't think that they do. I don't think Cialis or Viagra or any of that helps. I really don't. I don't even think Joe Biden will be interested, to be honest with you. I don't think he will be interested in Jill. I think he would be interested in someone a little younger, but that's just me. Okay, let's get to it. And thanks again, guys, for the super chats. And also, Miss Thang sent the super chat as well. Before we get started, I want to read this. It says, Dr. Phil's interview with Trump convinces me that Trump is going to be just fine. He's a shoo-in. Convinced of it. God bless. You know what? God bless you too for being so optimistic. God bless you for being so optimistic. That's all I can say about that, because what they're throwing everything at this man but the kitchen sink at the moment. Everything but the kitchen sink. Like, if they can ban you, they're talking about banning him from the country. Banning him from the Think about this, man. They talk about banning him from the United States as well. Oh, y'all didn't hear that yet? Okay. We're going to play some of it later. I have some information because nobody's talking about it, and I just stumbled upon this from Lisa Marie. Shout out to Lisa Marie who gave me that information. Thank you so much for that.
Former President Donald Trump's bombshell guilty verdict is shaking up the race for the White House. Trump's campaign has raised tens of millions of dollars in an outpouring of popular support. But some polls show the public mood could be shifting against him. There are many unanswered questions. Could he go to jail? Was this equal justice or political persecution? Will the Republicans seek judicial revenge? And of course, can Trump still win in November? Well, joining me now to debate is the political commentator that Benny shows, Benny Johnson, host of the David Pakman Show, David Pakman, former Trump attorney and Harvard Law Professor Emeritus Alan Dershowitz, and the progressive activist Nomiki Constable. Welcome to all of you. Alan Dershowitz, let me start with you.
Thank you so much for the super chat. Didn't do nothing reads, hell nah. They don't be doing that. Thank you so much.
From a pure legal perspective, how sound was this verdict?
From from 1 to 10, it was a below 20. It's the worst legal verdict I've seen in 60 years of practicing, writing, litigating cases. It's now days since the verdict. I still don't know what he was convicted of. Was he convicted of intent to cheat on his taxes 2 years later, although he didn't take it as a deduction? Was he convicted of defrauding voters who obviously knew that he was a sexual scoundrel? Was he convicted of seeking to make an illegal campaign contribution, although the contribution didn't have to be listed until after the election? I have never seen a case where even after the verdict came down, we don't know what he was convicted of. No one in history has ever been convicted of failing to disclose hush money payment paid to somebody. Why would anybody pay hush money if they had to disclose it? This is a case where the prosecutor simply decided to get Trump. I'm not a Trump supporter. I voted against him. I'm a liberal Democrat, but I care more about the weaponization and distortion of the criminal justice system than I care about what impact this will have on the election.
Two more quick questions for you, Alan. First, do you think he's going to get sent to jail?
No, absolutely not. He will get a 2-year jail sentence, I predict, suspended, or conceivably a 2-year or 3-year jail sentence postponed. But he will, on election day, not be imprisoned, although he will get a sentence of imprisonment because the judge wants to send a signal about how serious this non-crime really is.
And given what you said about, less than minus 20 on the scale of sound judgment, how likely then is it that he will win on appeal?
He will lose on appeal in the appellate division of New York, which are Manhattan judges who have the same problem that jurors in Manhattan. They don't want to be pointed to, this is the man who allowed Trump to be president. So he will lose in the appellate division. He may well win the New York Court of Appeals, which reversed the Weinstein conviction on grounds similar to those grounds that would be alleged here. And if the Supreme Court were to take the case, he would almost definitely win in the Supreme Court because the instructions violate clear directives from the United States Supreme Court. But the question is, if he wins, will he win in time for the election? Remember, they rushed him to trial because, as Jack Smith said, the public has the right to know that he's a convicted felon before the election. The same public has the right to know that that conviction has been reversed, if it's going to be reversed, before the election. The tragedy would be if Trump were to lose the election, then win the appeal, then we would be back to where we are today. Election denial, half the country would be dissatisfied with the result. That's the worst possible result. Losing the election, winning the appeal, and the appeal is won after the election is over. So I hope we avoid it.
Okay. David Pakman, I saw you smirking quite a lot during what Alan was saying. But Alan, as he said, he's not a Trump supporter, and he is one of the most eminent lawyers in America. Does it not concern you that the glee that currently is spewing out from every Democrat pore might be tempered by a pretty hard reality shock if it plays out the way Alan suggests?
Well, I agree with much of what Alan is saying, and not all of it. He's a lawyer. I am not. And to some degree, I don't even know why I'm here, but we can discuss that part later. But I think Trump's going to lose either way. And why do I think that? Because Republicans have lost everything since Trump won in 2016. 2018 was a disaster. Trump lost 2020. The red wave of 2022 led to Democrats getting a bigger majority in the Senate. The 2023 special off-year elections, every abortion-related referendum, it's been a disaster. So Trump's going to lose regardless. I don't know how much of an impact this verdict is going to have, but we know what he was found guilty of. You can say, well, I don't know that they should have brought the case. There is prosecutorial discretion. Hopefully we'll talk about that with regard to Hunter Biden as well. You can say the judge should have recused himself because he made a $35 donation to Act Blue. But to succeed on appeal, you have to point to something the judge actually did that's problematic. And the lawyers I've spoken to can't really point to anything. So I think Alan makes some good points. I just don't see this as the crazy controversy that some are making it out to be.
Well, let me explain why I think it might be. Is that I can just see how this plays out. Is that if Trump was to lose, last time in 2020, he went on a ridiculous campaign of trying to say the election was stolen. He's never produced any evidence to corroborate that. It was ludicrous. This time, he's going to have, and by the way, we have the backdrop of the Hunter Biden case going on, where the laptop story, which was suppressed by social media, let's not forget, which could have had a material impact on that election, that is all going to get reminded into people's heads that actually, that story was suppressed, it shouldn't have been, and could have had an impact. So you're going to have that as the backdrop for this. But if Trump was to lose it by a marginal amount, which it often tends to be these days, and I'm not even sure he'll lose, by the way, but if he does, he's going to sit back and go, well, it was literally stolen by this ridiculous prosecution. And I've been asking Democrats the same thing the whole time, really, which is when you look at this in the round, you've got Bill Clinton, who, while he was president, had sex with an intern in the Oval Office. You've got Bill Clinton, who paid off Paula Jones $850,000 for settling a sexual harassment case. While he was president, it didn't happen while he was president, but he paid her off while he was. None of that led to a criminal prosecution. And I would think many Americans, if they're just out of the toxic tribal loop, would go, well, surely even the Paula Jones one sounds a lot worse than a consensual fling with Stormy Daniels 20 years ago. So they will see a double standard and they will shout a double standard, and Trump will martyr himself at the altar of double standard, and he will have, I would say, a really compelling case where a lot of people who didn't agree with him about 2020 being nicked are now going to look at him and go, he's got a point.
Yeah.
The flaw is that there.
All right, just so y'all know, I'm not saying a whole lot, and didn't do nothing. Thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it. And thank you all so much for pulling up. The only price of admission for my live streams is for you to hit that like button and potentially share it. Go to the bottom of this video, hit the share button, and share the link on your X and on your Facebook. That will be phenomenal. And then come right back so that you can enjoy the show. All right, so yes, everything that they're saying, everything Piers Morgan just now said made so much sense as to how he could potentially get off. But bro, they are stacking up a lot of stuff against this dude, man. They're going after his gun license. They're trying to remove his security. They're trying to take his what do you call it? The Secret Service protection. They don't want him to have Secret Service with them anymore. Bruh, are they trying to, open up the floodgates so something could happen? Lisa Marie, it wasn't this video that we're checking out right now that you sent me. It was another one. The one about why is nobody talking about this? That's the one I want to introduce to the audience after we discuss this right here. But what they're doing right now to Trump, it's not good, bro. It's not good. It's not looking good at all. I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible. And it sucks that when I do come around to supporting Trump, that all of this stuff is going on. But it's a lot to learn. So I'm just listening more than anything, but I will add my 2 pennies when I feel it's necessary. Let's go.
There was nothing illegal about Bill Clinton settling that lawsuit, and they were not campaign contributions disguised in this way, which was determined to be criminal. I think Trump will make himself a martyr either way. He's a victim of the system of elections being rigged. He's a victim of the justice system being rigged. He's a victim of the media rigging his microphone and the temperature in the debates. He's always going to be a victim of everything. They've lost everything since 2016, Piers.
David Pakman is an asshole, bro. He's a hilarious asshole. I think he's funny, man. I like that he stick to his position, which is cool, but he's been coy right now. He's like, Donald Trump complains too much. Every time you look around, something's being rigged. The AC system, the heat is being rigged. But honestly, Trump is telling the truth, man. Y'all are a bunch of cheaters. Y'all are. This whole trial is BS. But nobody on that side will admit to it. It's like, well, if it's legal, it's illegal. If it's illegal, it's illegal. You know what I mean? Just like turning on red when they got a sign that say no turning on red. like driving 11 miles over the speed limit when you should be driving between 5 to 10 miles over the speed limit. That's illegal. I mean, we can play this game all day long, but y'all need to admit the fact that y'all are trying to go after him with everything y'all got because y'all know that he is going to tear your ass up if he become the president. And y'all are fearful that he's going to put people in place to make sure that this never happens to him or any other presidential candidate again. So, yeah, I just wanted to point that out. And thanks again for the super chats, guys. Didn't do nothing says didn't do nothing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, your time and your dime. I appreciate it. Says Trump is fighting with all he has, and he's ready to give his life. That should tell everyone something. This right here is, bruh, bruh. And they was like, oh, he called himself a victim as if he's a real victim. He's not a victim. He's rich. And I'll trade anything to be him. I want to be Trump so bad. That's what it is right there. That's actually what it is. Since they would trade their entire lives to walk in his shoes, they think that he don't have a right to feel what he's going through right now. Like, you can't possibly feel like you are the victim if you're that wealthy and that popular and that charismatic at that age. Like, it's no way with all that power and all that prestige that you feel like a victim. That's what they're trying to say. And it's idiotic because we all have our lot. We all have our cross to bear. And y'all know that. But, hey, let's see what happens.
Of course he's going to be the victim because he can't just admit, for the last 8 years, I've destroyed this political party. We've lost everything since I became president.
Let him lose legitimately.
Well, that's what I was about to say, actually. I was about to say, in that case, if it's so inevitable he's going to lose, why go down this route of really overinflating a state misdemeanor about a fling 20 years ago and then a bit of paper shuffling? Why do that with all the potential fallout and blowback? You've already seen Trump's raised $200 million since these verdicts came in.
And that scares the hell out of them. If he's this bad of a person, if he sucks so much for the right that they continue to lose everything because of him, then let him lose by himself. What's the point of all of these fake court cases and all of this other stuff that they're doing? All of these different charges that they're trying to pile on. What's the point? Let this man run his race and see if he can win toe-to-toe with Joe. And y'all already know that he's going to whoop his old ass, so you're trying to do whatever you can to make sure that he does. I mean, you're trying to position Joe Biden to be able to win. We already know that. Should Joe Biden win? Who knows? Should Trump win? Who knows? But let them run their race and let the people speak. Y'all claim y'all want a democracy, but you won't allow the people to speak. That makes no sense to me. Although this is a constitutional republic, but you keep on saying he's bad for democracy. He's bad for democracy. All right, then y'all be good for democracy. How about that? Y'all lead the charge in being good for democracy. Drop all this extra BS that y'all are putting on him to try to put these guardrails on him and put these chains on, shackles on him and boulders on his back to make it harder for him to win. When if y'all really believe in what you claim to believe in, if you think that the left side is the best side, then let the people decide at the voting booth. That's exactly what we're going to do. That's usually what happens. We get out, we put our message out there, and we play our cards. We see who has the most powerful message. So now, even if Joe Biden wins, it's a fake election. It's all fake because y'all are doing everything in your power to take out his opponent. Y'all are. He can't win off of his own merit. That's the only issue that people have with DEI, actually, because they want people to be able to achieve success through their own merit. That's it. So every part of how y'all do business is janky. It's messed up.
That can only help him. I just don't understand why Democrats would do that. Now, Benny, let me bring you in here. There is a but here. Yes, he's raising a ton of money, but also I saw a poll in Reuters saying that 10% of registered Republicans are less inclined now to vote for him. 25% of independents indicating they might be less inclined to vote for him. Now, it's the first poll really that's shown that. But if that starts to be a trend, and that is the effect of this conviction,
and
that's going to be a problem for Trump.
Yeah, I think there's a much bigger problem at play right now, Piers, and I'd really like to clear the table here as we have this conversation, because we need to actually talk about what's happening, because what's happening here is not normal in America, not in this country. In this country, we don't have a tradition of locking up the leading political candidate 5 months before the election, no matter who that candidate is or no matter what party they're part of. Not if you're a Republican, not if you're a Democrat, not if you're Green Party or Libertarian. Doesn't matter. That's not part of our tradition. That's not normal. We need to establish that. There is a tradition, however, that my fellow panelists may be part of, and that's called being a Stalinist. If you like this kind of thing, you're a Stalinist. You're a show me the man, I'll show you the crime kind of sycophant, psychotic, dictatorial tyrant. And this is the type of nature that has overtaken what used to be called the Democratic Party. Alan Dershowitz is part of it. This is Stalinism. Say it and mean it. And there's some bravery to actually admitting that you're a Stalinist. Hold on. There's bravery to admitting that you're a Stalinist because you're evil. You're an evil person.
This is your argument?
Right?
Great job. This is your argument. You're really going to win, buddy.
Hold on. You don't care about what's true. You just care about maintaining power. And that's, I mean, it's a brave thing to admit that. I think it's morally repugnant. I think most people believe that. But you would be the same type of person who'd be celebrating in the street when Nelson Mandela got locked up. You're the same person who'd be applauding when they put Gandhi in prison. You're the same person who would be proud that MLK went to jail 27 different times.
Minor drug offenders. You're from the party that prosecutes.
Hold on.
Okay, let Benny finish, then I'll bring you in a minute.
As long as I will not interrupt you, do not interrupt me. As long as the person stands against your power, you are the kind of succubus, sycophants for power, simps for power, who always coddle the Stalinist mantra, do anything, lock up anyone, and you'd be gathering firewood for Joan of Arc bonfires.
Can somebody tell me what he said that's wrong? Anyone. Someone please tell me what he just now said that is wrong. I will even put the link in the chat so you can come up here and say it with your chest. You can cam up, you can put the camera on, or you can keep the camera off if you want. Benny just now killed it, bro. Benny just now killed it. And as you can clearly see, when he started going in on them, Dave Pacman and the lady, and I apologize, I don't know the lady's name, and I'm certain I would know her name very soon. Again, I'm sure he said it, but Benny gave them the business just now with that. They're about to respond, obviously, but they was responding the entire time that he was talking, with their facial expressions, with their laughing, with the, if you're going to, are you really going to compare? Are you really going to try to compare? Are you going to try to compare? Yes, he just now did compare, and he wanted answers too. And again, I throw this out to you all. Her name is Lady. I throw this out to you all. If you feel like what he said was wrong, I want to pull you up on the stage so you can say it with your chest.
Okay, Benny, I have one more question for you, Benny, before I get into Mickey. It's this. I remember Donald Trump leading chants of lock her up about Hillary Clinton. Does that make him a Stalinist?
So did that happen is the question.
Thank you so much. Didn't do nothing.
Yeah, he would be at rallies He'd be at rallies and say,
hang on, Hillary.
My turn to say, hang on. My turn to say, hang on. My turn to say, hang on.
I love you, buddy. But we have free speech in this country.
Video footage.
There's a lot of nasty things that have been said about. There's a lot of nasty things that Hillary said about Trump. Trump said about Hillary. Let's look at actions. I'm old enough now that I just don't care about your words. I care about your actions. The actions of a major political movement in the country right now is to lock up the leading candidate for president 5 months before an election. He's 77 years old, Piers. He's been around for a long time. He's never faced a criminal charge. Never been found guilty of anything in 77 years of public life.
I've got to jump in.
And now they lock him up. That's called Stalinism.
Benny, I don't disagree with you, but I do want to play a clip because Trump has denied ever saying lock her up about Hillary. Here's a clip.
Crooked Hillary, crooked, you should lock her up, I'll tell you.
For what she's done, they should lock her up.
Lock her up is right.
Lock up the Bidens. Lock up Hillary.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
By your yardstick.
Now, hold on, whoa. Was Benny just now being a hypocrite? And what's the difference? Can somebody tell me the difference? Because from what I'm hearing, when I was blue no matter who, and I was having these debates with people at my old job before YouTube, shout out to YouTube, allowed me to quit a little earlier. And if anybody want to know how to do YouTube, hit me up with the word coach on my email, all right? You'll see the information in the descriptions. All right, so I just want to let y'all know that I believe that Pierce might be right. Could potentially be right. Let's listen to this conversation, because if Trump was doing the same thing with his own opponents, then they're like, oh, really? That's how we playing? Okay, we got you next time. Lock us up, huh? Okay, you want to lock me up? Okay, we're gonna find something on you. We're gonna do whatever we want to find out what we can put against you to make sure we put you behind bars. Can y'all let me know if that's the same thing as what they're doing to Trump right now? And if not, tell me the difference. Please tell me the difference.
Hey, Benny, by your yardstick, that makes him leading Stalinist, doesn't it?
No, because I judge a man. I'm judge a man by his actions. Like, did he act on that? Did Donald Trump lay a finger on Hillary Clinton? Did anyone direct any special counsel to ever look into Hillary Clinton?
He certainly expressed a desire to.
Sure, that's called freedom of speech. This is called playing politics. A lot of people say a lot of things in politics.
Okay, I see what he's saying. Okay, because David Pakman is finding this hilarious, and so is the lady, because they're both against. What's the lady name, bro? I feel so bad calling her the lady. Like, I feel bad calling her the lady. All right, but check this out. Benny is saying that I didn't contact one lawyer, one judge, or anyone to get it started or moved in the direction of arresting or locking up Hillary Clinton. All I said was, yeah, they should lock her up based off of what she did, because I heard that a couple of Americans died on her watch because of something that she was supposed to be in charge of. Because people used to always bring up, what about Benghazi? Because I was in support of the left, and I didn't want Trump to beat anybody on the left, because that's how it works. You don't want the right to win. But he's saying if he didn't start that train moving in that direction to arrest anybody, then he is not like the other people who are doing whatever they possibly can to put DAs in place, lawyers, jurors, judges. They're putting all of these people in place in the city that they wanted in. They're making sure all the trials are happening. They're making sure they're putting they're making sure that he can't say certain phrases or talk about certain things. They're trying to put a muzzle on a dude while he's going from state to state, letting people know why they should vote him back in as the president, as the next president of the United States. So, being that they've taken all of this action, and they continue to take all of this action and put people in place and people are winning races based off of being able to arrest and lock up Trump. They're saying, if you vote for me, so that's how you have Letitia James. That's how you have, what's her name? Fonnie Willis. You have Fonnie Willis. That's how you have a couple of the lawyers, the leading attorneys, and the actual judge who is prosecuting this case. But I'm just learning about it all, okay? So if I say anything wrong, feel free to check me. But again, if you want to come up here and say it with your chest, let me know and I will drop that link for you.
Politics. Joe Biden just explained that his uncle was eaten by cannibals.
Okay. Okay. I do want to bring in.
A lot of people say a lot of things. That's called freedom of speech.
I want to bring in Namiki, but let me get to Alan quickly. You want to say something, Alan?
There was a special counsel on Hillary Clinton. The Whitewater Council was directed against Hillary Clinton. And yes, there were many actions taken against Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. Don't overuse the term Stalinist. Reserve that term for people who really want to put people in the gulag, want to execute them. Don't become a Stalinist denier, like a Holocaust denier. What Stalin did was worse. I'm not on the side of who were trying to get Trump, but I would never call them Stalin based on that action alone.
Okay.
So basically what he's saying is that there was some actions taken to put in place to lock up Hillary. He said that there was some measures that was put in place to lock up Hillary, to investigate Hillary. Whether Trump did it or not, if it's connected to him, you know how in this case right now, Biden is trying to separate himself for, like, I didn't contact anyone. I didn't have any conversations with anyone to go after that guy. You know what I mean? They're doing their own thing. So whatever happens, it's going to happen to my benefit, but I did not start it. So if that actually happened to Hillary, you know what I mean? Somebody slapped you in the face, you now have a right to slap them back in the face. If I'm wrong, go ahead and straighten me out in the comments. Feel free.
Okay, let me bring in Namiki. You've been waiting very patiently. A lot of facial expressions from you suggesting you don't think this is a reasonable argument. Do you feel comfortable about the fact that that any American president, but happens to be Trump, becomes the first one to be dragged through a criminal court on something so comparatively trivial? Had it been one of the other three cases, I think there wouldn't have been such a furore about it, but they chose the most trivial one. They upgraded a real misdemeanor offense to a felony so they could basically try and nail him. Do you feel comfortable that the legal system's being weaponized in that way?
Well, I think what's interesting about this case is it's not just that it was a misdemeanor, a traditional misdemeanor for falsifying documents. It's that it was falsifying documents in relation to an election. And so just like they're going after people for sending out robocalls that were AI saying a different election date or different vote for a different candidate or whatever, that's interfering with an election. And that is a very serious crime, especially when you're running for the president of the free world. Now, if we want to talk about weaponization of the legal system, Mr. Dershowitz, hang on a second. We want to talk about, weaponization of the legal system. Just this week, you have Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, Laura Loomer saying, we should be going after everybody and giving them the death sentence. Steve Bannon saying Republicans should be using every single option on the table to investigate, to subpoena, to go after Democrats or anybody who stands in the way of Donald Trump.
But that's my point. Namiki, because of course they're going to. And once one party does this, the other party will now spend all its time, effort, and money trying to return the favor. And the loser actually is America and is standing in the world, and the American people who have elected these people to do a job for them, and all they're trying to do is get each other put in prison.
I agree. I'm with Pierce on that. And for everybody who's sending super chats, thank you so much. And for everybody who's with me right now, please hit the like button and consider sharing this video on other platforms, either X, Facebook, wherever. But that will be extremely helpful. All right, let's go. But I agree with where Pierce is coming from right now, because we lose with all of this mischief going back and forth, with all of this attacking, with all of this trying to get our opponents arrested and all this other stuff. We're not allowing the people to have a voice. What we're trying to do is give the people the answer when they go to the poll. This is what you do. This is what we want you to think. We want you to know that this person is a bad person. Don't vote for them. Let me tell you something. We are all thinking adults. We can make our own damn decisions. You don't have to go after an opponent for us to make a decision. So if that's what they have to do in order to get the sheep to move in a direction that they want them to move, shame on them for not believing in us as the voters, because we are going to make a good decision. We're going to make a good decision, whether it's what you want on the left or whether it's what they want on the right. A decision will be made, but allow us to make it, man. But they're going to make a decision for us by making sure that he's not even an option. And that's the thing that makes me lean towards what Benny was saying about them coming off as Stalinists, because they're trying to make sure that he's not even an option. They're trying to make sure that he is not even able to run. They're trying to make sure that he is arrested, and them removing his security from him. That make me think something worse. Like, why are you moving his security? Why? That makes no sense to me. You're trying to take his guns away from him, and you're trying to move his security? Really? Come on, man.
I think it's damaging to America.
I agree with you. I think it's damaging to America that Donald Trump has been on a mission to deconstruct any sort of institutions that keep our democracy alive. I think it's damaging to America that he played these games and he was giving money back and forth to different lawyers and different folks and paying off folks to do his dirty work. It's damaging to America that he does not respect the institution and the system that gets people elected. So yes, are Democrats supposed to sit back and let him play games with our democratic institutions? Of course not. He wants to dismantle NATO.
You're wrong.
Alan?
You're wrong about what he was convicted of. If the judge had instructed, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, to convict him, you have to conclude beyond reasonable doubt that he intended to impact the election. You would be right. But he didn't do that. He gave them multiple choice. He said, well, maybe he did that in order to save on taxes. Maybe he did that for this reason, that reason. Multiple choice. We don't know that this is an election case. The judge
that will be brought up at the appeals, and that is the one.
Hey, shut the hell up, lady. See, okay, I'm sorry. Don't shut the hell up, lady. You continue to be strong. You continue to speak up. I apologize. I'm like, shout out. I'm a feminist too, just like the ladies. I love the ladies. Y'all are awesome. But this dude is being fair. He's being fair. He went at Benny. He's going at you. He was a lawyer for Trump, and he's also not even a supporter of Trump, but he's the most objective on this entire panel. So please just let him talk. He's letting you know that his intentions weren't clear about trying to break up the democracy that you claim he was trying to break up. But you're saying, well, that will all come out in the courts. Come on, bruh. Don't put them claims on anybody if that's not the case. You're going off of what you feel. You're not going off of any facts. All right, let's go.
This is an election case.
That will be brought up at the appeals, and that is the one argument that the Trump team is going to put forward, and it may impact sentencing, as you mentioned, but that does not mean that it is a winning argument. Great argument, the one argument he has. But again, we're looking for loopholes in something that appears on the surface very dark. He did, no matter what. He did this, and that does not look good to the American people. It might
Let the lawyer speak, please. Please let the lawyer speak. I want to hear the lawyer. Who want to hear the lawyer speak? I want to hear the lawyer speak. That's just me. I want to hear the lawyer speak.
Hang on, Benny. It might chin up his base. I gave you guys time. Let me just say one thing. It might chin up his base, and his base is dangerous, but they were always going to be ginned up. It's that portion of America, these little margins that we're winning by now, that feels like this is a disgusting action, whether it's one case, two cases, three cases. That jury found 34 counts him guilty, and that jury had lawyers on it, people who voted for Trump. So clearly, they made a strong case, Mr. Dershowitz. You cannot deny that.
No, I can deny that, and I will deny it. Let me give you another argument. So
I love this guy. I love this guy. This dude said, I can deny it and I will deny it. I'm speaking from a from a space that you are not familiar with. Hopefully she be quiet and watch her facial expressions. I want, as he break it down, watch his facial expressions, watch her facial expressions, and watch Dave Packman's facial expressions. This is something, bro. But we need to get to the bottom of it, because honestly, I can care less about winning arguments. She's more concerned about winning arguments. Yeah, you're right. That might be a winning argument, probably the only part of Trump's argument that makes sense. But she don't know what the hell she's talking about. She's going off of what everybody else on the left is saying, and she is hopeful that what they are saying against Trump is true so that he can be moved out the way. Because as you can clearly see, she believes that her democracy is in jeopardy because of Trump, and he has done things to try to ruin it for her. So please, the lawyer's about to break it down. Hopefully she pick up what he's putting down.
So the prosecution argued that it was, as a matter of fact, an illegal campaign contribution. As a matter of fact, they had a witness, Trump, who is the FEC expert, who said, I will testify as a matter of fact that it was not a campaign violation. And it's done all the time. That nobody has ever been prosecuted for it. It was perfectly legal. And the judge kept that out. The judge denied the jury the right to hear from the expert that it wasn't an illegal campaign contribution, because the prosecution argued, yes, as a matter of fact, it was. That's clear reversible error. If we had another 2 hours, I could go down 30 reversible errors. I've never seen a case.
Well, maybe you should work for Trump again. He needs your help. He has an appeal coming up. These are great arguments back, but it didn't.
Hey, shut the hell up. Acknowledge what he's saying and understand that you have been fed wrong information for a long damn time, and now it's time for you to learn something. The brother is schooling you. Take out your notebook. Take some damn notes. That's it. Understand that what you have been fed all of this time has been lies. He's trying to break it down to you. See,
pulled up last week, and that's the point.
Agree to have the appeal decided before the election, and then I'll shut up.
You know what? I think actually, let me bring in. All right, let me bring in David. Let me bring in David. I do think that's an interesting point that's been raised by various members of the panel. Is that actually, wouldn't it be fair to have that appeal before the election?
Yes. Yes.
I think it'd be completely fair. I would have no problem with that. I'd love to have it all wrapped up. It seems unlikely that that's going to happen, and I have very little control over it. Me saying I would like me agreeing to it really does nothing. What I do think is interesting is that there's so much moving of the goalposts here in every case. Your other guest here, Mr. Johnson, whose work I'm not as familiar with as I would like to be, but he seems extremely high energy. He comes out shot out of a cannon saying Stalinist this and that, and nobody else was saying lock up. And then you play the montage of here's 6 times Trump said it, and he goes, well, he didn't act on it all of a sudden. He changes his own argument, as they always do in every single one of these cases. Whatever they can get away with, you give them a piece of tape, Piers, and then they go, oh, but my argument's actually something different. That's the sort of fundamental nature of this, and it's pathetic.
Hey, I want to say thank you so much for the super chat, Geronimo, and thank you so much for the super chat. It was another one that just now pulled up. My bad for not having it. That's so many comments. Y'all are engaging. I appreciate it, man. Okay, this is a good problem to have, but I do appreciate the super chat. And he said, remember when Hillary paid for the Russia collusion hoax? It's not against the law to pay off someone. Wow. Well, it clearly isn't, because y'all saw when Bill Clinton paid off that woman that he was throwing meat to. He put the check out there like, look at this. See, everybody, I signed it. I signed it, everybody. Come on, man. This is BS. And they got to understand that this is BS. That's all I'm saying is BS. It's BS, bro.
All right, Benny, I want to play you a clip. Benny, before you reply, I want to play you a clip of Kamala Harris on Jimmy Kimmel last night.
Let's think about this. A jury of 12 people, peers, over the course of 6 weeks, deliberated on the evidence and facts and unanimously determined guilt for 34 felony counts. There was a defense attorney who actively participated in selecting that jury, who actively made decisions about witnesses to call, witnesses to cross-examine, and the jury made their decision. And, you know, I think that the reality is cheaters don't like getting caught. And being held accountable.
Benny, your reaction to that?
No, I don't know if Kamala Harris is talking about her personal life there and her history, her long history in the California political system. Cheaters don't like getting caught. She would definitely know how to rig a jury, considering what she did as a California attorney general. But I'll say this when it comes to cheating, and it's very interesting. She says, cheaters don't like getting caught. So here's my question to my fellow panelists here, and I ask it respectfully, and I hope that we don't interrupt each other. I love the vibrant conversation and debate on this program. Was Joe Biden cheating or engaging in interfering in an election when he sicked the current Secretary of State, his name's Antony Blinken, on rounding up members of the intel community to declare that his son's laptop, which is 100% real and holds within it at least 400 federal crimes, was actually fake and Russian disinformation. Now, that happened right before an election.
It did.
Far closer to an election.
Right. Let's just start off with he wasn't the president.
And most importantly,
I'm not even get
Donald
to your
Trump
argument.
wasn't a president. Please let me finish. Donald Trump wasn't a president when allegedly this payment happened.
You're right.
He was not. He was not. He was not.
Right. He was cheating. Joe cheated. You're right. So
is Joe Biden cheating? So because yesterday, just really quick, because something remarkable happened in Delaware. The federal government introduced Hunter Biden's laptop against him as a piece of evidence that they have confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt is Hunter Biden's. So Joe Biden knew he was
they're
lying.
treating both sides equally. That is the point. You're saying that he's a victim, Donald Trump's the victim, and they don't go after the Democrats. But now you gave yourself an example of how the federal government, the justice system under Joe Biden, is going after.
So should Joe Biden be charged? So Joe Biden be charged for the same
he didn't
thing?
have
Because
it was his son. That's the
guy who
difference.
did it is Secretary of State right now. The guy who organized the Russian disinformation letter is the Secretary of State. The people who signed that letter, there have been zero consequences. They knew they were lying to the American people. They were rigging an election.
But can you admit that now they're going after both sides equally? You said just a few minutes ago, oh, Donald Trump, the Republicans, they're always being prosecuted. They're Stalinists. But here's an example of the Biden justice system going after his own son. Can you admit that this justice system is treating both sides equally?
Not so clear. Not so clear. They're trying him in Delaware, where he has all the tremendous advantages, and they tried Trump in New York, where he had all the disadvantages. We'll see what the outcome of the case is.
Also, where they were based.
They're handling him with kitty gloves, ma'am. What is her name? Does anybody know her name, bro? I feel like an idiot right now. I swear I don't know her name, and I'm certain that they named her in the beginning. I'm gonna have to go back to the beginning just to see her name, but she don't want to hear any part of that. She don't want to. Benny just broke it down as to why if it's important now and it's a real thing now, but they lied then and said that it wasn't then he was clearly lying so that people wouldn't have that in the back of their mind when they went to the voting booth to vote for him. And if that was actual evidence at that point, there could potentially not ever have been a President Biden. Potentially. Because we already know that if a lot of people would have seen everything that was on that daggone laptop, and we would have been able to discuss it ad nauseum without fear of being banned or kicked off of certain social media networks like Twitter at the time, which also came out that some 3-letter agencies was actually working with the company of Twitter, with the company Twitter at the time to make sure that this information did not get out. It was not shared or anything. And big content creators lost their channels, lost their platforms on Twitter at the time for sharing some of that information. It's not the same. It really is not the same. So, wow.
Okay, let me ask David a question. This is about the Wall Street Journal big report today about Joe Biden's cognitive decline.
Thank you,
they
Tate.
spoke with 45 Republican and Democratic lawmakers and staffers. It was pretty unsettling reading, I have to say. It seemed pretty clear by the time I finished it that Joe Biden is suffering some form of dementia. That was the clear conclusion from those who've been around him. And we see enough in public to suggest that may be the case. How comfortable are you that he is going to be fighting this election and potentially being president for 4 more years?
Well, worst case scenario, they both are struggling cognitively, in which case I'd much rather the people around Biden making decisions than the sycophants Trump would put around him, which, with no offense at all, are sort of versions of Benny Johnson, by the way. And the audience, I'm sure we could have a beer together, Benny, and have a great time, but it's not like I necessarily want the government run by people like you. So I think worst case scenario, they're both struggling. You know, at this point, I've interviewed 4 medical and mental health professionals, 2 from mental health, 2 from the neurology side. So far, they've all told me Joe Biden is experiencing age-related aging that you would expect for someone of his age. Trump seems to be seriously cognitively struggling, where he doesn't realize he's saying things that don't make sense. He doesn't realize that he's getting names completely wrong, stories that don't make sense, doesn't know who he ran against, doesn't know who he's running against, doesn't know who he ran against in 2016 or who's president right now. I mean, a level of confusion. And again, I'm neither a neurologist nor a mental health expert. This is what the mental health experts have told me. Now, I will say, I read the article. Some of the sourcing is people that MAGA Mike Johnson talked to. That's not super compelling to me. However, I do think Annie Linsky is a trustworthy reporter. I am not pretending this story isn't out there, and I cover it on my show today. I think it's a serious story.
If Donald Trump came out and said that his great uncle had been shot down and then eaten by cannibals, and it turned out that he hadn't been shot down or eaten by cannibals, you would probably lead a cry of, this man is not fit to be president, wouldn't you?
Yeah, maybe I would. I mean, Trump has made stuff up about his uncle developing nuclear weapons or something just as ridiculous. And so I think we have examples of both. I don't know that they're super compelling one way or the other.
Okay.
By the vice president
Alan?
here. That's why the presidency here is more important than in any election since Franklin Roosevelt in 1944. Because whoever is the vice president will be the next president.
Right.
And if I were the Republicans, I would put up the strongest, most presidential person, Nikki Haley, for example, or somebody like that, to run Kamala. If Trump tends to pick somebody just who is somebody helping get president, helping get elected, but would be a good president, that would be a terrible mistake. This is a race for who's going to be the next president, not only who's going to be president.
Okay, Benny, I want to give you the last word because Sienna Miller, the actress, has.
I wish the lawyer guy would have had a microphone, because he was making a whole lot of sense in his statements. He was bringing, he was being more fair. He was bringing more fair arguments to the panel. Not super left leaning, not super right leaning at all. He was very much fair, and he actually worked with Trump, but he said some things that could potentially be damning to Trump if you're the type of person that's just looking for something to hold over Trump's head to use on your one-sided platform that you're on. But I think that he was extremely fair, in my opinion.
Said she has already fled the United States, partly due to avoid Donald Trump. She said, I was living in New York for 7 years till last summer. It was time to come home. Obviously got a little baby. It's a better quality of life. And there is no Donald Trump. I couldn't handle another election. We are, I think, heading to that familiar rodeo of a lot of famous people saying they're either leaving or have left the country to avoid Trump. What do you make of this?
Good. Fantastic. Why not? We live in a free country. Go where you please. But if just a personal, humble recommendation from your boy Benny, go to a country that's a Stalinist country, because that's clearly the tradition that you're from. You should go to Cuba. I've gone to Cuba and done documentaries. You should see what life's like there. North Korea would be fun. Perhaps you could fly into mainland China and try and live under a social credit system.
Who do you think
See
is
how
funding
much
Trump's
your
election?
activism, see how much your activism gets you, how far your radical intersectional feminist ideologies get you in, I don't know, the Mideast or in an African nation.
David Pakman can't take it, man. He's like, look, bro, you just keep on drawing all these, you're saying all these things about Stalinism, and I don't want any parts of this. Matter of fact, he don't believe in anything that he's saying. He don't. That's because he refused to sit there and listen. Sometimes when you're in a room with somebody who knows everything, you talking is sounding like the what you call it, the school teachers on Charlie Brown, on Snoopy. Was it Snoopy or Charlie Brown? I think it was Charlie Brown. And he's just waiting for you to shut up so he can say what he wants to say. And so is the lady too, because you're not saying anything that supports their argument. But he's absolutely right in the way that he's speaking on this. Instead of giving people the right, giving us the right to have our voice be heard at the voting booth, they're doing everything in their power to make sure that he's not even available to run. I don't even think they want him to be available, period. You can fill in that however you want to fill in that, but I said what I said. Based off of what I'm seeing, I don't think that they want him to be here when it's time for him to run. What's going on, gang? I got my crew pulling up on me. Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about.
What up?
What's up, boss?
What's going on?
What up, Van? What's up? What's up, Grasso? Cycle of Judges in the building.
Cycle of Judges podcast. Yeah, man, we talking about this this panel with all these individuals on it, and Benny actually did his thing. Benny Johnson did his thing, but what's his name? The lawyer Dershowitz or Dershowitz?
Yes, Alan Dershowitz.
That brother is a star in this conversation, but his microphone suck, and everybody kept talking over him, man. Sheesh.
Yeah. He is a Harvard. He's been a Harvard professor for a long time of law. Very famous lawyer.
Very smart brother.
Oh yeah,
very smart, and he seems fair too.
He is one of the fairer ones. He is truly one of those guys where if it's in the law, it doesn't matter if it's left or right. The law is the law. That's what he goes. That's what he goes for. I have yet to ever see him take a political stance over a law justification, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. I like that. That's because people like me who I'm not capping or caping for any side. I care. Listen, if Trump did something bad, let's talk about it. If Biden did something great, let's talk about it. I don't mind. If Biden did something bad, let's talk about it. If Trump doing something great, let's talk about it. Like let's get to the meat of it all, because that's where I am right now. Because right now it's looking like they're trying to remove our rights to pick the person that we want representing us, and they're doing everything in their power to make sure that they are not even an option.
Well, understand these are all political plays.
Absolutely. This is also something that the Democrats have been doing for years in their own primaries. I mean, think about it. It happened. Bernie Sanders was winning, when it was Hillary, and they made him sit down and they said, no, Hillary is it.
Wow.
Biden came out of nowhere.
Super delegates rule the Democrat election process.
You want to talk about a threat to democracy? No, the Democrat Party, they're a full-fledged threat to their own democracy, and they've shown that time after time, where they don't care what their constituents think. They just place whoever they feel is the guy. That's it, or the person.
Well, but also you have to understand how the base of each party works. The Democrat base is they're charged by fear. If you can make them afraid, they row their base. Where Republicans are riled up through disgust. If you can bring something that's disgusting, the Republicans tend to get riled up.
Wow, that is how they do
what
it.
What they're trying to do right now is they're trying to fear the Democrat Party, their constituents, into saying, this man is the Antichrist. This man is going to take away all of your stuff. This man is going to take away everything you have. But then on the other side, the right is saying, well, look what they're trying to do. They're trying to let men into the women's bathrooms. They're trying to rape your kids and mutilate your kids. And grape. But
too late.
It's too late now.
I know. You know how it goes. But these things are how they rile the base. And understand that all of this stuff that's happening right now is on purpose because it's an election season. This is not a coincidence that they're doing these things right now. The whole point of the Democrat Party right now is trying to keep President Trump from being a political force. They're trying to keep him from being able to leave his hotel there in New York for the next 6 months while his appeal process starts, so he can't campaign and bring in those few independent voters that he needs. Because if you're looking at actual polls, since 2020, the Democrats have won every single election of significance. The Republicans haven't done anything in the last 4 years.
Wow.
And if you're looking at polls right now, you look at your swing states, you look at Michigan, you look at Wisconsin, you look at Georgia, you look at Arizona, you look at Nevada, you look at Pennsylvania, Florida, North Carolina. I mean, these 8 states, but these 8 states are considered swing state key states, which means that there is no way for an electorate to get elected by the electoral vote without a majority of these states. But so you look at the rest of the country, and there's big numbers on the blue states, for Biden. There's big numbers in the red states for President Trump. But if you look at the everyday polls right now of Michigan, of Wisconsin, of Georgia, just to name 3 of them, they're within the margin of error, 3% each way, because that's where the money's going to be spent in the next couple months through the summer before we hit October. In October, there's always going to be something happens in October. Every election year, it doesn't matter. It's going to be some big scandal, left or right. Yeah. It was the Hunter Biden laptop last time. It was the Hillary Clinton emails the time before that. So whatever is going to happen this year, it's going to happen right around October.
I have a question for you, Grasso.
Yes, sir.
With RFK in the mix this time around, we did not have a strong third-party candidate the last 2 election cycles, at least, for the presidential election. What role do you think RFK will play, and who will he pull more from, Trump or Biden?
Well, from past history, the only significant independent that has ever done anything is Ross Perot. He took around 6% of the vote back when he was running for election. But back then, he also was allowed airtime. He had enough money to push his airtime agenda, so he was able to get airtime. These big news conglomerates aren't giving RFK anything, pretty much. He's not going to be allowed on any of the stages if they do any kind of debates. Will he pull 6%? He might. But when you look at the base is the base. Everybody needs to understand that Republicans and Democrats, their bases are going to vote Democrat and they're going to vote Republican. If people haven't made up their mind at this moment as independents, they're not going to make up their mind. They're just not going to vote. They're going to abstain from it. Everybody knows who they're voting for. Mm-hmm. And there's the 2 main things that are happening right now is the economy and immigration. Those are your 2 biggest sore spots in this country right now. People are tired of watching tens of thousands of people walk across that border and be given free cell phones and free credit cards and a trip to wherever they want to go in the country daily. And then the next thing people are tired of is walking into the grocery store and paying $150 for 2 bags of groceries when just 4 years ago they could get a whole shopping cart full.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's true. But that still don't explain to me why they're trying to remove his security detail. That don't explain to me why they're trying to put him in a position where he could potentially be unalived.
Well, you know what time it is. I don't even want to speak on that.
I don't want to talk on it either.
We know the games that the Democrats are playing, and you ought to understand they're not playing a traditional American game of politics now. They've moved into the Bolsheviks, they've moved into the communist Marxist playbook, and honestly, they've probably been utilizing that playbook for quite some time now. So it's honestly, I don't think it's something that we should speak on. I don't think that's a subject that we should broach, to be honest with you, just due to the fact that it's a scary topic, to be honest with you. And what would that do to our nation to see a political opponent for the first time during in an election year be potentially taken out? How would that affect our nation? It would not be good. Honestly, that would be, I mean, we're already watching the demise. We're watching our country crumble right before our eyes. Most people don't even realize that it's happening because there's a lot of folks that have their head in the sand. But if that was to happen, that could potentially put us on path to a full-fledged civil war. It could.
Well, technically, I mean, Peter Turchin is a economic strategist, but he does a lot of social history. And your three major factors of civil wars that have happened in the last 100 years. Let me look it up real quick. I was literally just reading this. It's social inequality, basically your pay gaps. It's when you have too many. See, a lot of what's happening right now too is you have an overpopulation of highly educated people, and there's not enough jobs for them. These people have paid $150,000, $200,000 for this elite education, and there's no jobs for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to, in order to keep these people appeased, because understand these people are coming from other affluent people, they're going to have to create problems in which only they can fix. Who always fits the bill for that? It's the middle class.
Grasso, you hit the nail on the head. That is the main issue right there. It's the amount of people with $50,000 to $250,000 in student loan debt who cannot obtain a job that would give them the ability to pay that debt off.
Yeah, and the fact that they've been lied to. They said that if you go to college and you get this piece of paper, you're going to be able to sit behind a desk and make $150,000 a year.
Well,
and that's not the truth.
Grasso, that was the truth 5 years ago.
10 years ago. Yeah. Well, you're exactly right.
That was the truth 5 or 6 years ago during the Trump administration, bro. I mean, I know this because, I've worked in that space. Dude, we were giving out, it would be nothing for somebody to get a $25,000 sign-on bonus. $40,000, $50,000 in quarterly bonus. That was amassed over an annual. It was nothing to see those types of numbers. I seen it. Matter of fact, dude, we were paying people for certain positions that today you'd be hard pressed to make 150, but we were offering people total packages of $600,000 and $700,000.
Holy crap!
Dollars a year. Seriously, this is what was happening in the Trump administration, bro. I'm very serious right now. Now, those same positions that people were a base salary of 180 plus stock options, plus bonus, plus sign-on bonus. And then when you added all of that up, man, you had people making $500,000 a year. Meta, who in the tech industry alone, and I'll just speak on what I know, the tech industry alone in 2023, they laid off almost 2 million people, bro, out the tech industry. These are people with degrees, bachelor's, master's degrees, so forth and so on. And these are people that were getting to a bag. It's not being spoke about. It's not something that, CNN wants to talk about or MSDNC wants to talk about or any of your liberal news outlets. They're not having these conversations. The trade industries around that time frame as well, they lost another 1.5 million jobs that was cut. And right now, this year alone, they're saying that 21% of most companies are saying they're going to lay off 21% of the workforce right now.
Yep.
This country, man, we are, and so when you think about it, that's why you have a lot of graduates complaining, saying, man, I just graduated and I'm looking for an entry-level job, but they're telling me I got to have 3 to 5 years of experience for an entry-level position. Make that make sense now. after you just spent $200,000 for a college degree that they told you, hey, you would at least be able to get an entry-level job. Now entry-level positions, junior-level positions are requiring 3 to 5 years of experience, and technically 3 to 5 years would be somebody considered mid-level. That's the situation that we're in right now. And to be honest with you, the people that are going to feel the brunt of that, the people that are feeling the brunt of it, are mainly women, young women, because those are they're the main ones that have taken out these loans. They're the number one proponent of college.
Yeah.
They're the number one graduates right now of college.
They've
So
been
now,
fed that feminist lie.
absolutely. So now you got all these women coming out of college. Maybe they've been out of college 3 or 4 years at this point, who can't find jobs that pay well enough for more or less for them to live on their own, but to even pay back the loans that they've taken. And they've gone to these large, these big campuses that are charging them $50,000-$60,000 a year.
Yeah. Well, because so what is the underlying answer to all of that? Is the plan is to keep people under extreme debt, to keep them trying to churn out the economy. It's the new form of slavery.
It's the new form of slavery.
Exactly.
The word says, the Bible says, the debtor, is what is it? The debtor is enslaved to the lender.
Oh yeah.
Neither a lender nor borrower be.
So it's just a new form, of slavery. But I mean, you got to think that this country has been built on it, and it's never, we've never not had a time where we did not have slave labor in this country, and it still is happening today.
There's been slaves since the beginning of time. Always will be.
Wow. Y'all really went a little deeper, no Diddy, than I expected for this conversation to go. And I do appreciate it. I do want to say to everyone who's inside the comment section and those individuals who are submitting some super chats, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sorry I haven't stopped and acknowledged every single last one of them, but I do appreciate your support. I appreciate you showing up to this live stream today and showing support for the individuals who are popping up on the panel as well. They are all some amazing content creators who are working with me, and they are doing some exceptional work. Someone said something?
I was just saying, that's sweet, man. Thank you.
No, I was just being honest. But I was having a conversation yesterday about conservatism versus liberalism, and it came out that we was talking about the big switch again. We was talking about the big switch because obviously conservatives don't believe that there was ever a switch, and liberals believe that there was a switch. But it was just like both parties just walked away and was like, all right, fine. There's no more slavery. There's, we're not going to enslave them anymore. Cool. And one side was like, okay, fine. We're just going to go ahead and get to the bag and do our own thing. If you want to get to the bag too, feel free. If not, then we ain't even dealing with you. And apparently that was the conservatives. And the liberals was like, all right, fine. We'll start answering some of these letters from those individuals about how we can potentially help them, and we're gonna posture ourselves as if we're helping them, but we're not really. We're gonna be hurting them at the same time. So that was the liberalism. Do you agree with that being the way things are, or is it a lot different in the way you look at it?
The big switch. I don't believe there was a switch ever.
I don't either. I don't believe there was a switch at all. I call it the big lie. That's what that is.
Yeah.
The big lie. Because when you go and look at history,
and if you
go, I'm one of those kind of people, I just look at people's actions and then I go look at the voter rolls. It's all public information at this point. And if you go and look at the voter rolls and you look at who was voting for civil rights and you look at, who was staunchly against civil rights, all the way up into the 64 Civil Rights Act, we know who it was, and we know who it's always been. And if you look at dating back to, the Confederates and dating back to slavery and then dating back to who actually stifled Reconstruction, there was no switch, man. There was no switch. But it's the lie. And Democrats are good at language. They're good at telling a story that's not true. They're
you
really,
control
really
the
good
language.
at that.
You control the language. You control the narrative.
Absolutely.
When you tell people what they can and can't say and the words they can and can't use, you control the conversation, and so you can always bend it to where you want it.
Is that why they?
1984.
I mean, is that why they win so
everyone
much?
should read that.
Well, understand that the Democratic Party has always had much more power and influence in this country than the Republicans have ever had, as far as controlling all of the news media, controlling all of the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, because at one point there was only Democrats, right? It was Democrats first.
Yeah, it was Democrats. Well, it was a couple of parties prior
Federalists.
to, but yeah, you had the Federalists and the
There were some
Democratic-
wigs.
Yeah, the Whigs. You know, there was a couple parties prior to the Republican Party. The Republican Party is it's the newer of the big parties.
It's the most progressive of the biggest parties.
Well, the refacing of the Democrat Party happened, of course, with Martin Luther King when they imprisoned him in the 60s. JFK basically went in and said, "Look, I'm going to get you out of prison, but I need you to start pushing the Democratic agenda." We're going to give you the funding and the backing for that.
I'm gonna go a step further than that, Grasso. I think you go a little further back. W.E.B. Du Bois, and when they started that NAACP, that's when they really started trying to galvanize, especially Black people, the Black community, to be a part of the Democrat Party. And what we also know is that Democrats, they've been using fear tactics on people for over 100 years.
Because the Democrats are riled by fear.
Absolutely.
That's how you rile that
using these
base
fear
up.
tactics. Now, the fear tactics aren't violence anymore as much as, I mean, there's still some violence. Obviously, we see Antifa and some of these folks.
Yeah.
There's still some violence. But if you go back into the, late 1800s, you go into the 1900s, when the KKK came around, when the whole Jim Crow was implemented, those were, they were using fear and violence to get people to vote. If you guys recall, when you casted a vote, they would have, these folks out there and they'd have a little barrel or whatever on one side, and they got a chance to see who voted. So therefore, if you voted against them, they'd be at your house that night. You know what I'm saying? If you seriously.
Well, exactly. The big switch happened in the 60s, like you said, as far as that big lie, because that's when you had the social, all the social upheaval. That's when you had, the Cloward and Piven strategy. That's when you had all of the social LBJ with the welfare system and the social systems, because they knew, and Cloward and Piven was essential for that to happen. And basically what they needed to do is they needed to get as many people hooked on as many social programs as they possibly could, so that way they could destroy the system as a whole. That way they can rebuild it in their own image.
Wait a minute.
Always benefit them.
Wait. So they wanted to get them hooked.
Absolutely.
In 1966, the social welfare system, I've actually got it pulled up right now.
Get out of here.
While he's doing that, go for it, Brad. Go for it, Grasso.
I'm just saying they believed the Cloward and Piven strategy is believing that in order to create a crisis, would force political leaders to implement a guaranteed annual income. So how do you do that? How do you destroy a system? Well, you encourage maximum participation in the welfare system. You overload the bureaucracy and create system failures, which means you just overload the government, the federal government, to where it's basically ineffective because it's so gluttonous. And then the political outrage over these failures will lead to political unrest, will lead to civil unrest, burning down of cities, burning down of these agencies. And then what happens is once that political unrest goes to a tipping point, then you basically create another civil war. By creating another civil war, you can then institute martial law and in turn create a government, do away with the Constitution, and create what you want to create with it. And all in the guise of fixing the problem in which they have created systemically.
Absolutely. And what people don't realize is that the Black community has been the test dummy.
Absolutely.
We've been the group of people that they've tested this on. Because think about this. And I know Byron Donald been getting ran and drugged through the mud because he used, Jim Crow as in the era, saying that, you've had a lot of Democrats come out and say that he said that the Black family was better, in Jim Crow, when he didn't actually say that. But I will say this, and I've said this on my own channel. During the Jim Crow era, And during that time frame, when you start talking about the wealth gap and the black family and the black community, it was a lot better. I'm not saying that the Jim Crow era was great for black people, but I'm just talking about the black community and the family. When you look at the fact that 60, 70% of our kids grew up in two-parent households, we actually had families. We were teaching our own kids. They were actually learning. They were going to school and actually being properly educated. Although we did not have all the things that was needed, they were still making it. Not to mention, when you think about the amount of businesses that were being created during that time frame. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that is that I'm not saying that the Jim Crow era was great, because it was a dark time to an extent. But when you look at the black community and you look at the 60, 70% of black couples were married during that time frame. When you look at the amount of businesses that were started during that time frame, think about this, man. During that time frame, you had North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company that was created. You had Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company that was created. First self-made female millionaire in this country, black woman, during the Jim Crow era. When you think about Ebony Magazine, Johnson Publishing, that was created by John H. Johnson in 1945. These are all things that were started. And then all of a sudden, when what Grasso just mentioned, get everybody hooked on these social policies, and that type of progress came to a screeching halt. And it was by design.
Yeah.
So
it was the destruction of the nuclear family.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
And I could go down the list of the amount of businesses, Negro leagues, all these things. Now here it is. We had sporting leagues, we had big businesses, newspapers, so forth and so on. Progress being made. Then all of a sudden people decided, you know what, we don't want that anymore. We want the government dole. And progress just came to a halt. When's the last time now everybody wants to go back to, we need more black-owned businesses. We need to be creating these industries and things of that nature. So how is it that during an era that was tough for the black community and for the black men, they start banks and newspapers and all these things, and now we quote unquote have all these freedoms, but we haven't had nowhere near the amount of success from a business standpoint, from a job standpoint, and from a financial, from an income standpoint. It's going up, but that's going up for everybody. But they'll still tell you, the Democrats will still tell you that you're oppressed and you're down, you're downtrodden, you're down and out, and the system is out to get you. But it's them that created the system that's keeping you down.
Can I? This whole thing, we can look back just 20 years ago. I remember listening to Glenn Beck and him talking about progressives and George Soros. And George Soros has taken down countries doing exactly what he's doing with us, all right, causing civil unrest. We already know that he backs city district attorneys, and look at how they're dealing with crime. He's causing civil unrest that way. But you mentioned about this, we talked about the Great Switch and the controlling of language. Everybody should read 1984, because
Hell
the
yeah.
Ministry of Truth is what is used to control people. If you can take words out of the language, basically you can control the fact, like if you remove all the words associated with revolution, and it's illegal for you to say any of those words or else you get put to death, then people will never have the thought of revolution because they don't even have a word to describe that thought. Okay, and that's how they control people. The same thing with slavery, how they broke up the families, or people that were of the same tribe that could speak the same language. No, they split them up and they got rid of that so that they couldn't communicate with one another. If you can't communicate with one another, you can't organize.
That's right.
It's a system that is behind the system, and people are oblivious to it. No, we're called conspiracy theorists, okay? But notice how conspiracy theorists always seem to come out right.
I think the reason why Black people today aren't able to have the success that Black people from yesteryear are is because essentially it's a combination of like being trapped in a prison of the mind, plus an actual a lot of people are trapped in that school to prison pipeline system. One of the schools I worked in, and this would have never flown at all in the middle school or the in the middle, I guess the middle class school that I went to, but they start criminalizing the kids really early. So if you are in 7th grade and you get in a fight, you go into the system. You have to go into court. Like that would never fly in an affluent school. Just like two little kids, the regular, just having a little like small regular dust up. Nobody gets hurt, but no, you get a record, and they start training you so early that you're a criminal and you're not going to amount to anything. And it is amplified by the music that's pumped into the head. Like middle class kids and rich kids can listen to that stuff and not take it seriously. Like they're not going to go out and, deal things and,
Oh yeah, they ain't gonna cut on no free car music and then go get them a free car.
Yeah, they don't fall for that, but everything that's surrounding them is telling them to be a criminal, and then they see, unfortunately their role models are criminals.
Yeah,
And I try to talk to kids and they think, oh, well, my favorite rap star, he has 5 kids by 5 different women, so why can't I? And I want to be a rapper. And all the little boys want to be rappers, and all the girls, unfortunately, they want to be women of no repute.
Most of them don't have to call themselves.
Because most
they
of them
won't
don't
be
have
bad.
They want to be bad.
That's what they want.
But the negative messaging started way earlier than that, particularly with Jim Crow and during segregation, where classes were like science class was Black people are inferior. And you're dumb, you can't learn. I mean, it's been generation after generation of keeping people down and doing everything they can to stack the deck against you. And it's really, they made it to the point where only an extraordinary person can get out. Ordinary people cannot escape. So I see that a lot with
Yeah, and if you watch all these like interviews, like these people that go on the street and just talk to regular people, they are asking them simple questions and they are completely oblivious to the truth of what's really going on. And it's really sad that the most basic questions cannot be answered by the average person on the street.
I watch those too.
Yeah, it's insanity. I mean, they ask him the most basic questions, and then this Patrick Bet David interview with Chris Cuomo and David Ramsey. I mean, he's asking him straightforward questions just to take accountability for what Chris Cuomo has said and stuff, and they're just so brainwashed. I don't know if it's brainwashing or if they're just completely ignorant. But it's just ridiculous
I wish
that they can't take a
No, they are ignorant. They can't even answer how many stars are on the flag.
But they can't even take accountability. Like if they're shown a fact that they are wrong, they still can't take accountability and say, "Hey, yeah, I was wrong. I can learn from this and grow." But instead, they double down.
Ask them how many Kardashians they are. They can name
right.
all the
They know.
Yeah,
they know. I was watching a video just yesterday about that, and it's because people have a dream in their head. They have a scenario in their head that if reality doesn't match up with what's in their head, they ignore it. It doesn't exist. It only gets if it affirms what's in their head is what they will accept.
But understand,
Okay?
it's called programming for a reason.
Yeah.
A good tactic is one that people enjoy. If you're trying to do a tactic to manipulate people that people don't like, they're not going to do it. But if you can fill it as entertainment, if you can sell it as entertainment and keep them, it keeps them dumbed down. It keeps people passive. That's the whole point of it. That's the whole point of all of this cultural things is they have understood that as long as you can keep people with that constant little dopamine drip, people aren't willing. People don't change until it gets uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's true.
That's just the way things work. If we can keep you as sedentary and as comfortable as possible, you pose no threat to my agenda. None.
Yeah.
The apathetic are the politicians' dream. They want to keep you apathetic because why? They can take your money and your taxes, and they don't have to worry about you voting. Okay, so all these people that are walking around like politics, I don't deal with that. I don't pay attention to it. It doesn't affect me. Yes, it does. Every aspect of your life it affects.
Look
and
at the
you're
voter
ignoring
turnout.
it.
Well, that's a perfect example. Look at the voter turnout. I mean, half this country doesn't even vote.
Well, look at 3 years ago.
They want to get up on social media and complain and yell and scream and holler, but half of them don't even vote.
But they'll vote for American Idol.
Oh,
okay.
Look at the social experiment that they did 3.5 years ago. People turned over their arms and their bodies to an experimental vaccine, and people like me said, no, not ain't gonna do it. I was called a heretic. I was told that if I went to the hospital, I should be told I could die before I get because I didn't have the vaccine.
Okay.
And now here it is 3.5 years ago, and now here we are. It's like, oh, sorry, we didn't mean all that. We're sorry about all that. Just forget all that. Sorry about that.
Psych.
And I had friends who found out that I didn't get the vaccine or other people didn't get the vaccine.
Hey, you're using words you're not supposed to say on here.
Time to cut them off. We got to go. Hey, it's been great.
My bad.
Speaking of, guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in because we're about to go ahead and get to our coaching group because we're starting to say things we're not supposed to say. It's all good, brother. You can make your point in a moment, but let me go ahead and check out first. Thank y'all so much for pulling up. Thank you for being a part of the live stream today. We discussed some topics that are near and dear to us, and honestly, I asked the question inside of the live stream, and the question went with the gun licenses being revoked, with the different countries banning Trump, including the U.S. talking about potentially banning him, and everything, and them removing his security detail, them wanting to remove his security detail from him. Are you still in the mind that they are going to that he will become the president? And some of you said, I am praying he did. That's 76% of you said, and 24% of you said the left is fighting dirty. So at this point, I honestly don't even know because it's starting to look more and more grim by the day. But I do want to say, everyone on YouTube, everyone on Twitch, thank you so much for watching the live stream with me and for engaging in the comment sections. Thank you to all of my super chatters, especially Didn't Do Nothing. I don't know how many super chats you dropped today, but I greatly appreciate it so much. And everyone else who dropped the super chat. And for all my blues, all my moderators who helped me out, thank you again, guys. Y'all are absolutely amazing. And if you haven't liked this video already or shared this video on X or Facebook, please do so now. That will tremendously help out the video and the channel. Shout out to all of the LFR family. Y'all are absolutely amazing. And again, we are doing this YouTube coaching thing. If you want to know anything about YouTube or you want to grow a channel, start a channel, you don't know where you want to start, hit me up with the word coach. My information is scrolling across the video right now. I'll see y'all next time. Love y'all. Peace.